Today I'm here with Planet 40k and we are talking about what did 9th edition do for Necrons. It's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this special video because I'm here with the awesome Planet 40k, the second best Necron channel on YouTube.
We're already going there. We're already going there. Okay.
Hello Planet, how are you?
I'm great. Well, I'll say I'm great. I've been ill for a bit, but I'm on the mend, should we say?
Well, that's always good. And of course, we are here to talk about Necrons. I am a long-time Necron player, playing since 3rd edition Necrons, and I've played in every edition. And today we're going to be talking about what did 9th edition do for our beloved army. So, Mr. Planet 40k, how long have you been playing Necrons for?
I would say, I think it was 3rd, but I missed a huge chunk from when I was about sort of 14. I sort of left it behind because of peer pressures and things like that. So I do remember parts of the old editions, but I came back to the game around 7th, maybe even 8th, something like that.
Right, okay, so a good amount though, a good amount of time.
Yeah.
So this video is going to be a double video. So once we've recorded this one, we're going to head on over to Planet 40k's channel. We're going to talk more about the actual units themselves, the sort of best units, the most disappointing units. It's going to be an awesome little video, so hopefully you check that out after this one. So in this video we are going to be talking about the 3-year journey of Necrons in 9th edition. What exactly happened and how did it affect our army? Because I think it had a major impact on our army this edition, starting with the Indomitus box set and a whole host of new Necron miniatures. Did you enjoy the first initial release of Necrons?
Yeah, I mean, I got hold of that box set. It's in fact what brought me to YouTube, because me and a friend of mine were going to do, well, I was going to do Necrons, he was going to do Space Marines. We bought the box set, and yeah, away we went until he left after about a month. So I was left with both sides of it. But no, I did enjoy the box. It had a lot of cool models and a lot of cool new models, in fact, which we've never seen before. So yeah, it was really cool.
A whole host of miniatures and also quite new aesthetics for the army as well. The Necrons were a bit more sort of damaged and broken, which at first I didn't really like because it didn't seem to match the old miniatures. However, having painted those miniatures, I do find that the extra details with that damage actually help the models just easier to paint, especially if you're dry brushing, because those details just come out quite easy. So in a lot of ways I enjoyed the fact that the miniatures changed slightly in appearance. But yeah, we had a load of models. We of course had 9th edition codex, the very first codex to come out, and it was definitely the heyday for the edition. Very, very enjoyable. The first year I was playing against Richard and his orcs before he got his new orc codex, with good success, but the heyday wasn't going to last that long.
No, it didn't take long for the codex creep to kick in, did it?
It didn't. Around year 2 of this 9th edition release, it was pretty clear that we didn't really have a 9th edition codex. Our codex was an 8.5. Yeah. And obviously as the new codices came out, we definitely got that codex creep, each one becoming more and more powerful. And once Richard got his new orc codex, things definitely changed around for me. You know, those orcs going up to toughness 5 made a huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah, to the point that I had to really sort of change how I played the army. I mean, I was still using Gauss flayers at the beginning of 9th.
Yeah, that's how I started. Yeah,
I had to very quickly change to Reapers, so that strength 5 just, you know, strength 4 just didn't do the job at all.
No.
Now, of course, even though we were experiencing the codex creep, the biggest and probably best thing about 9th edition's release at the beginning of 9th edition was that it got a lot of new Necron players into Necrons, which was really nice to see. We had lots of people coming back into 40k because of the 9th edition release and the new box set. We had a lot of new Necron players, which from my point of view is awesome, because obviously I love Necrons. I love talking about Necrons and sharing any tips and tricks and tactics that I have with you guys. So yeah, it was really nice to see so many new Necron players. And of course, you experienced that as well with your channel, Planet, didn't you? Because you grew a huge amount of subscribers in those first couple of years.
Yeah, definitely the first, when it first was released. I mean, I wasn't even going to do Necrons at that stage because I wasn't really, on 8th edition, I wasn't really a Necron player. I collected them, but I was mainly Tyranids, to be honest with you. So it got me into Necrons again, that's for sure.
So you're going to be doing Tyranids with the new edition?
No, I'm sticking with Necrons, but I've got a few other bits on the side, should we say.
Yeah, sounds like me, because obviously I've got a Tyranid army as well. So
Okay.
no doubt I'll be buying the starter set instead of adding to it. But my main focus is going to be Necrons, of course, as it always will be. Yeah, exactly. However, it definitely became harder and harder to win in 9th edition, at least I found that. But Planet, what did you think? Did you find it harder to win?
Yeah, there was a number of reasons why I found it harder to win. I mean, obviously the codex creep, which we've already mentioned, everything got more resilient, but they still kept the damage out. You know, the damage outgoings was still pretty bad, but we didn't have the same sort of damage outcome. So, for example, Doomstalkers, Doomsday Arcs are very swingy with the D6 amount of hits or attacks and the D6 amount of damage versus other armies with the, you know, they had D3 plus 3 for their damage. We just couldn't compete, especially in the heavy support area of our codex.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. Now, of course, GW have tried to change things. They started to introduce points reductions, chapter approved, data slates, and it's fair to say they did attempt to help the Necrons, and in many ways they did, because at one point we got up to a 55% success rate. And GW's sort of ideal world is between 45 and 55%. So what sort of changes do you think really helped us do that?
I think it was the core keyword, giving so many units in our codex core. All the vehicles got core, the Canoptic Spiders got core. Those ones in particular were key. Even the Silent King got core, which was outrageous. And at one point, we had the Technomancers bringing back the Trichomanirs with the Rites of Reanimation ability, which was, again, madness. Just getting rid of those things is quite tough in itself, so just bringing them back for free, that gave us a lot of success. Also, Ancient Machineries was able to be done by vehicles, which was another madness. You can have Annihilation Barges.
Yeah, in a Nephilim, our secondaries were really good, which I suppose, in many ways, that was just a bit of a compromised way to do things.
Yeah.
Because rather than fixing, like you say, like the random shots and damage, and bringing us up in line to other codices, they just gave us easier to achieve objectives. So we were literally winning for points, and that was one of the biggest disappointments for me. Is when I was playing my Necrons, I felt like I wasn't playing my Necrons. I felt I was just playing for points.
Yeah,
and that just didn't quite feel right. So when I watch, I play Richard and his orcs obviously quite a lot, but when I watch Richard play, I can see him having so much fun, like moving his models out, rolling dice, killing stuff, and all I'm doing is thinking, right, which objective am I going to get on? How am I going to score those points? And we're playing different games, and it definitely isn't as much fun playing for points as it is for like playing to like go out and kill stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Now, even though we got to 55%, the ideal number for GW, they weren't satisfied with this, and we did actually see some nerfs. I think some of the nerfs, rightly so. I mean, core on vehicles not being able to do actions, I think is a fair point. Obviously, the King as well, debuffing him, fair play. However, with that, they did make our secondary objectives much harder to achieve. I mean, Purged Vermin, for example.
It's dead.
Yeah, it's dead. It's fair to say Ancient Machineries and Treasures of the Eons are probably still quite reasonable. Not overpowered, but fairly decent for us.
One of them you got less points, wasn't it? One of them was nerfed.
Ancient
Treasures of Eon.
Treasures of Eon. So it's it's 2,
4 points.
3, and 4 rather than 5. But I don't think that's. I mean, to be honest with you, I was only really aiming to get 2 objectives each turn anyway. It's very hard to get 3 a turn, so I was always aiming for 2. If I got 3 a couple of turns, that was a bonus.
I play a bit greedy. I always go for 3.
I always found I overcommitted. When you're playing orcs, who can just cover the board so quickly,
Yeah.
you're getting on objective and you're dead next turn. So you have to do it at the right time.
I rarely play against orcs, so I wouldn't know that feeling of that pressure.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Now, all these changes, of course, from the last Meta Watch that we saw, brought us down to 45%. So it actually made quite a big difference. And that was a shame, really. I think they could have just taken away the core on vehicles and stuff, and potentially not made our objectives quite as nerfed as they did, because I think that did make quite a big difference. But of course, and not having touched any of the real codex rules for quite some time, apart from command protocols and how they work, which is good and probably how it should have been at the beginning.
So that's what we've seen for 9th edition, but what about 10th edition, Nick? What do you think is going to happen with the Necrons? What are you expecting?
Well, what I'm expecting, what I would like, are probably 2 different things, really. But what I would love to see is I'd like to see Necrons get back to how they used to be, an army which was just difficult to kill. But I would like to see RP just change, and for the units just to not die so quickly, basically, and actually get up. I mean, unless you're playing big warrior blobs and your opponent isn't killing the whole unit in one turn, you're not really seeing RP that much. I mean, I hardly ever get RP. It doesn't feel like we're Necrons. We don't have that resilience. So I think that's the biggest thing that I would like to see is for us to be an army that's, when you look at us on the table, you think, how am I going to kill that? That's going to be a slog to kill.
We'll get that because the AP has been reset, so not many things are going to have AP anymore. So our Necrons are going to be a lot harder to shift because that's their thing, right? So when you've got things such as Reanimators or Technomancers, presuming that they've still got those same abilities, we're going to be able to bring models back a lot easier, I think. So I think we're going to be more resilient than we ever were. Maybe not so much. What edition was it when we were just super OP? We were ridiculous. I can't remember the edition.
Well, we had a couple of in 3rd edition, of course, the Warriors had a 3+ save and a 4+ RP. I mean, that's when they were resilient. But then also they had, I can't remember which edition it was. I think it was 7th, where each turn you could bring back models that can turn in previous turns, which that was good fun, but obviously a lot of housekeeping as well.
Too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do you think a 4+ RP army wide is too powerful? We did have it, didn't we, in the 7th edition Decorium? They had the detachment, the Decurion detachment, and everything had a 4+ RP in there.
Is it a one-off thing, or was it as soon as you're attacked?
It was done at the beginning of the turn, I think, back then. So not when you're attacked. Yeah.
So all of the dead can get to do
that? Not all of the dead, just the ones in that turn, in that battle round as such.
I think 4+ is too much, to be honest. I think 5+ is at the right place, but when you've got multi-wound models, that's when it gets a bit janky then. Like, for example, a Canoptic Spider, when you need 6 5+ rolls, it's just not going to happen, is it?
No. It is hard. Whether we could have different reanimation numbers for different units. So like a Warriors are a 4+, and then if you have, say, Lich Guard with 2 wounds, maybe they're 5+s. And then maybe sort of Destroyers with 3 wounds, maybe they're 6+s. But if you get a 6, you get the model up with its 4 wounds. This is the trouble. I think this is where GW struggle with Necrons, is because it's like, how do you do it and not make it too powerful, but not make it too weak? It must be really tough
and you've got to still provide the lore to it as well. You can't just, like a lot of people have said, just have a pool of dice where every time you roll a 5+, you can put it in a pool, but in terms of like how it, the law side of it, that wouldn't kind of work. But
No.
I mean, they could. It just seems a bit weird.
It's hard. It's hard, and you have to do it without making the rules too complicated or too clunky as well. So good luck, GW, on that one. Either way, it's fair to say that 9th edition has been a fun ride, even though it's been very up and down. I mean, that model release at the beginning was just awesome. We haven't seen a big model release like that since 5th edition, and this one was much bigger with a lot more aesthetics changes to the miniatures. So it definitely was a lot of fun. And like I said, GW do have quite a big task doing these armies, so hopefully we'll get a good one in 10th edition. Fingers crossed. Now next we are going to have a chat about the worst and best units in 9th edition. We're going to talk about the strategies that we've been able to use over this edition, and we're going to look at the biggest disappointments, and we're going to do all that on Planet 40K's channel. So make sure you check the link out in the description below. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.